So today, Bill Gates is making a new bold move and is getting paid millions upon millions of dollars to fight climate change. Fighting climate change with destroying the forest. Yeah, that's right. I mean, destroying the forest, burying the trees. Yes. Finally, they come out and say it that they're not about, stopping deforestation. They're not about planting more trees. They're not really about the environment at all. They're about destroying it to stop climate change. Yeah, I'm gonna say no, but yet that's what they're doing, and we got a video to show you guys. But have you heard about this one, Jules? Because this is crazy.
No, this is new to me.
Really?
And yeah, and Bill Gates is becoming weirder and weirder as the day goes by. He's like one volcanic island short of becoming a super villain.
Yeah, yeah. He's kind of stepping into that role, of just he's just a supervillain. He's just that guy that is
Yeah.
that every Bond film tries to uncover that it was him the whole time. One day we're gonna pull off that
Oh
mask and we're gonna
man.
realize it's old creepy man Joe or something like that. It's going to be that guy, and we would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you crazy kids. So this guy is really getting weirder because now I mean, what was it? He bought up all the farmland, right?
Yeah.
He's buying up farmland like
Yep.
crazy. He's
Yep.
trying to change all the meat suppliers and
Yep.
making sure that they are now processed meat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's all into vaccines, processed foods,
Yep.
farmland, and
Yep.
now he's definitely about climate change and climate activists. And so now he's getting paid to do this new movement that is going to stop climate change once and for all. Stop it in its tracks. Take a look.
Bill Gates and other investors are betting Kadama Systems can reduce carbon dioxide in the air by chopping down and burying trees, which has raised $6.6 million in
Say
seed
what?
funding from Bill Gates' Breakthrough Energy and others. Scientists say burying trees can reduce global warming as well. I don't know where they're finding these scientists, by the way. To help address the problem, the U.S. Forest Services aims to thin out 70 million acres of
Mm-hmm.
western forest, mostly in California, over the next decade, extracting more than 1 billion tons of bone-dried biomass. Normally, when you cut down trees, when you're a lumberjack, when you have a lumber company, you're selling the lumber to build houses, people buying from Home Depot or whatever. They're arguing that they want to, rather than sell the timber, take all that wood and just bury it because they're saying that that is a better solution. And so, in other words, this is a business because they're getting money to create carbon offsets. And this is what Bill Gates is financing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's almost like an attack on infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not almost. I'm sorry. It is.
It
It
is.
always it
It
always
is.
says. Yeah, this whole climate thing has always been an attack on the infrastructure that makes the
Mm-hmm.
country great, right? Food infrastructure, business owning, manufacturing. These people they have to pay so much. Even farmers, they can't keep up. They can't keep up. They're one bad crop away from just absolutely being
Yeah.
decimated to the point where
Yeah.
they can no longer be farmers. And not only that, but have you seen food storage facilities?
Yeah.
All of them burning down?
Yeah. Yeah. It's bad
Wow.
enough that many supermarkets, groceries don't even have don't even have merchandise that's being sold on the shelves, and now they're burning down.
I know. And like I saw this video and I'll try to bring it up here in a minute, but it's this video where it talks about like the or it shows like on a map where all these places are being burnt down, food manufacturing, and it is like and people fact checkers will say, oh no, that's just
No,
not
that's not true.
that's not true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely not
The
true. It's
economy
just
has never been better.
Right. Yeah, that's and that what Biden said during his speech.
Bidenomics.
Yeah, Bidenomics. Hey, look at this. Look at this. This is actually from this video I just said. Let me show this video real quick.
What you're seeing on the video right now are all the locations, uh, I guess, food storage facilities
Yeah,
that
that
are either burning down or have already burned down.
exactly. Yeah, throughout the United States.
Uh-huh.
Just the United States, but it gets even worse worldwide.
Uh-huh.
Worldwide. Look at that's worldwide.
Yep.
That's worldwide. All the food facilities
Yeah.
that have burnt down.
Yep.
Who controls the food supply? Controls the people. Who controls the energy? And I missed the last part. What was it? What does that say? Who controls the energy can control the whole continents. Who controls money can control the world. Absolutely, and that's Kissinger. Now,
Mhm.
do you know
Yep.
that? What was it? The Pope. You know how everybody
Uh-huh.
comes to kiss the Pope,
Yeah.
right? Well, the Pope comes to kiss the Rothschilds,
Mhm.
Kissinger,
Yep.
and a couple other of those main families. The
Yep.
Pope kisses their hands, bows to
Yep.
them.
So
Yeah,
you know who's in charge.
exactly. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but this scientist is kind of uncovering the this hoax because the stats are not adding up for the
Mhm.
climate change agenda. And this may be why people like Bill Gates or other people are like doing these things like burning down,
Mhm.
or I mean, of course, I'm not saying that anybody is specifically targeting facilities, YouTube, okay? All right. I'm not saying that everybody that this is just a big thing that everybody's attacking
Yeah.
it's
Just
just
dumb
a
luck.
theory.
It's
Yeah.
just coincidence. Yep.
Yeah, and if you at home, if you think for a
Yep.
second
Yep.
that there are any big major families that run the
Uh-huh.
world that are burning down these facilities to
Yeah.
control everything, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yep.
And we
Yep.
don't allow you on this show. Not this program. This is for families. All right.
Uh-huh.
It's not about your conspiracy nonsense. But this man seems to think that the stats don't add up. So let me show you what he's talking about here.
You've all heard the news. Climate change is destroying your future. Carbon dioxide is accumulating in the atmosphere. Global warming is killing the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh no.
But there's more to this story. Over the last decade, total global emissions declined. Deaths from natural disasters have diminished to a few hundred a year in the United States, even as the global population quadrupled over the last century. They've declined internationally by over 90%.
Jeez.
The Great Barrier
Hey, what?
Reef recorded the highest amount of coral in 36 years, and maybe longer, because that's the amount of time that we've been studying and measuring. How come nobody is saying that? You've all heard the news.
Oh. So the stats aren't lining up.
Okay.
Because they're saying that coral reefs are actually not on decline; they're on the incline,
Yep.
and they're at the highest level since they started recording it 30 years ago.
Yep.
So that means all those old videos that you saw where the coral reefs were just beautiful, but now they're all desolate. Well, it turns out that that's actually not true. Yeah, there are places where coral is dying, but there are also places where coral is thriving more than usual. Even though that I like what he says, even though that the global population has doubled, our emissions are down 90%. Yeah, that's great. Or that the fact that all these global disasters, like climate change disasters, are just rampaging over the world, and yet everybody's okay. Even more so, like, and becoming even more okay. So, and then you look at what Bill Gates is doing, right? And he's like upping the game, destroying the things that actually keep the climate in check, destroying all of that just to make sure that it seems to accelerate and to like a man-made climate
Mhm.
change, a man-made
Yep.
natural disasters.
Yep. Man-made ecological disaster, man-made climate disaster. I don't know who that scientist was that we just saw, but he apparently did not get the memo that there's a climate crisis. Doesn't he
Yeah,
know? I
come
mean,
on now.
why is he reporting that the Great Barrier Reef is actually, has increased by a whole much in the last 30 years?
Well,
Uh,
you know what? I saw this. Like, you know how Ukraine is the breadbasket of the world, right? The breadbasket of the world. It really is. A Europe they've been fighting over it for like thousands of years. Right? You know, the Ukraine area, because
uh-huh.
it is the most fertile area. That's where they get a lot of their food, their grain, everything.
Mhm,
Um, and because of the war in Ukraine, those facilities are not operational. Farmlands are not operational, and now people are not knowing. You know, these places that needed them are not getting the food that they need. And so I was watching this article or this video about the starvation, people starving in places like in the Sudan and
mm,
in places in Africa and stuff like that. And they said that it is due to climate change, that the farmers are not able to farm due to climate change. It turns out
mhm,
where they get most of their produce, most of their food is from Ukraine. So the reason why they're starving, the reason why they're not able to get food in certain areas, it's because of the war. But yet they're blaming it on climate change. So they put out these turmoils. They like the farmers in Germany, like the farmers protest, right? They
yeah.
do that, and then they say that, well, the reason why we don't have food is because of global warming, is because of climate change. No, it's because you're sanctioning farmers, you're burning down facilities, you're going to war with countries that are the breadbaskets of the world, and it just doesn't add up. And so they're trying to make it seem like like this is all because they need to. They if they can't control the just like Kissinger said, if they can't control the food, if they can't control the money, if they can't control um, anything about it, they can't rule. And the
Yep.
new world
They
government, there's
cannot
no
control
reason.
those, yeah.
Yeah. Now, but in their own way, through doing their own powers, they may be actually fulfilling prophecy. This is kind of exciting. All right. This is in Revelation 8. Revelation 8, in verse 7, it talks about the first trumpet. And the first trumpet, it said, the first angel sounded, and hail and fire followed, mingled with blood, and they were thrown down to the earth, and a third of the trees were burnt up, and all the green grass was burnt up. Right. And so, how many acres was he talking about burning? Right. How many um how many trees are they planning to burn down?
Mhm,
You know, it's
mhm,
these powers that even though that we don't like them,
mhm,
they are anointed powers by God to bring forth his judgment on earth.
mhm,
And people might not like to hear that, and you may at home be disagreeing with me, but when you look back in the Bible, you know, to be a judgment on Israel for not keeping the word of God, God raised up Babylon to be the judgment of his own word. He raised up an ungodly nation to be his judgment, and to come and to bring the land rest. And so these people, these evil people that seem to be, you know, causing famine, that seem to be causing pestilence, with viruses being released, causing trees to be burnt down, causing the wildlife in the rivers and the seas to die, or to become the actual water itself to become bitter and undrinkable. This is the judgment of God. This is what's written in the book of Revelation. It's all the judgment of God, and it's all under God's plan. It's actually quite amazing. What do you think, Jules?
yeah. All these evil people, so let's call them as they really are. All these evil people, they think that they are doing these things based on whatever objectives that they have on controlling the population of the world. But what they do not know this is they are actually falling right in lockstep with the perfect will and plan of God.
Yeah,
But
they think they're doing it in
unfortunately,
defiance, but they're
yeah,
not. Yeah.
yeah, and they think that they would, win in the end. They will have control of the world, but what they will have It's nothing but judgment of God.
Yeah, I like what Jesus said to Pilate. Pilate said, "Don't you know I had the power to free you?" And he's like, "You don't have any power unless God gives it to you." You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this is Jesus, the Word of God, the body of Christ, the body of the Father, the embodiment of God Himself, and
Hmm.
yet He's saying to this ungodly person
Yep,
that if it wasn't for God, you wouldn't have any power at all.
yep, yep.
Um, so this is also why we shouldn't come against the rulers of the world as
Hmm.
Christians, right? We're all talking about, like, there's a lot of Christians will stand up in a pulpit and say that we need to step up, we need to fight against this tyranny and make our voices heard and
Hmm.
protest and all this kind of stuff. As Christians, it says that we're not supposed to do that, even with evil rulers. Um, Let me bring this scripture up. This is very interesting because I think that this is something that we as Christians should really hold on to,
Hmm.
especially coming up to 2024, which
Hmm.
is going to be quite the year, right? This is in Romans 13. It said, "Let every soul be subject to the the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. Therefore," and yes, that includes Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, Kissinger, all these people appointed by God, whether you like it or not. Joe Biden, yeah, absolutely. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists the ordinance of God, and those who resist will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Right? So he's not talking about good rulers. He's talking
Hmm.
about rulers in general, and they are
Hmm.
a terror unto the evil.
Hmm.
Right? And so, but not unto good works. They are only a terror if you are doing evil. If you are doing good works, they are not a terror unto you. It says, "Do you want to be unafraid of the authority? Do what is good, and you will have praise from the same." Do what is good. Like, look at what like Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego that were that were in an ungodly nation
Yep.
with
In
ungodly
Babylon.
leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, Babylon, with ungodly leaders, with ungodly rules. And if they when they did good, even though they were thrown into the fire, they were still inevitably given praise for how God moved in their lives. And Nebuchadnezzar ended up not only g- exalting them, but
Hmm.
also praising God in the meantime. He
Yep.
says, "Do what is good, and you will have praise." You want to be unafraid of the authority? Do what is good, and you will have praise from the same. For he, in verse 4, it says, "For he is God's minister to you for good. But if you do evil, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain, for he is God's minister, an avenger to execute wrath on him who practices evil. Therefore, you must be subject not only because of wrath, but also because of conscience sake. For because of this, you also pay taxes, for they are God's ministers, attending continually to this very thing. Render therefore to all your due, taxes to whom taxes are due, customs to whom customs due, fear to whom fear, and honor to whom honor." Yes, this is a hard pill to swallow.
Hmm.
Imagine you're supposed to fear and honor Bill Gates. This is a hard pill to swallow, man. I mean,
Yeah.
or Joe Biden, especially
Hmm.
Christians, we're all about, making fun of these people and saying they're so stupid and they're all godly and we want them out and we should protest against them and all that kind of stuff. He says, "No, just
Hmm.
keep doing good. Just
Yep.
keep doing good. Keep doing keep doing that which is right by God, which is continue the ministry. And the ministry is of reconciliation. Keep reconciling the lost, keep uplifting the brethren, keep exalting the brethren, keep on raising up godly disciples, raise your children right, and do not bow to idols and do not want for worldly things, and you will do good. And when these rulers go do evil things, it will only hurt the people who do evil." Whew, that's a hard pill to swallow, but that's the word. That's the word. So, what do you think, Jules?
Yeah. Definitely going to be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. because there's always going to be debate about that. Somebody even saying that, there should be a distinction between what is government and what is the church. So there's always that debate. There should be separation between the state and the church.
Mm.
So so many things that can be a point of contention. But whatever it is that we are disagreeing on, always the ultimate way for us to test whether or not we are in the right is we always go back to the word. And what
Yes.
does the word say? So
Mhm.
we really need to dig down deep into the word and see what is the word saying about this. So we may not like these people. Um definitely, if you look at what they're doing, all sorts of depravity, so much evil, and it really doesn't make even sense. Not even like looking at it from a moral perspective, just looking at it from a rational or a logical perspective. Sometimes what they're doing, like Bill Gates, instead of planting more trees, no, they're gonna chop down all the trees and bury them deep down in the ground.
Yes.
Doesn't make sense.
It
Doesn't
doesn't.
make sense at all. No logic to that. So
No.
not even look at it from a moral perspective, even logic, it doesn't make sense. And yet,
Mhm.
what does the Bible say? So do
Right.
not, we need to give due respect to authorities.
Yeah. And this is also something that you guys can be comforted by. You don't have to fear. Don't worry about what the evil people are doing. They're not doing more than what God will allow, right? They're
Yeah,
not
that is
doing
true.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not
Mhm.
doing anything that won't turn out for good,
Yeah.
right? And inadvertently, they will do it, and it'll be the bane of their existence. But they will,
Hmm.
no matter what they do,
Hmm.
God will work it out for the good, and
Yeah.
all things work out. We know, right, that all things work out for the good of those who love God.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, if you are in love with the Word, if you are in love with God, if you are following after His righteousness, if you are only about doing good, and all about the Lord's work, all about your Father's work, just as Jesus was, don't worry. Everything will work out. And you'll see that all of this, you'll be like, oh, okay. Yeah, Joe Biden, Bill Gates, Kissinger, Hitler. Okay, I get it. It was all supposed to end up to this. I'm so glad that it all ended this way, right? God's perfect timing, God's perfect will, and God's perfect judgment. Yeah. So, and in that, what do you guys think? What do you think about what Bill Gates is doing or what all the elites are doing of this world? What do you think about climate change in itself? What do you think about the second guy that we had here that talked about the stats, the actual facts, the scientific facts? And we have to believe the science, right? We have to believe the science. So, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comment below what you think about any of the subjects that we brought up today, and let's have a peaceful discussion. And YouTube, please don't censor us for hate speech, please, or conspiracy theories. Right? We're trying to just talk about the issues, right? And unbiasedly talk about it. So let us know in the comments below what you guys think. Please like and subscribe these videos. Click that bell for notification for the new videos that we have coming up in 2024. And as always, guys, thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the next one. God bless.